Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Vobes show. I'm Richard Vobes, the host of the next hour-long live show on Facebook and rerun on YouTube. And, you know, goodness knows where. People download this show, they bung it on their hard drive, and do you know what? In the future, people will be uploading it to some retro website of some description and going, do you remember when there was this thing called a Vobe show? Do you remember those days, those happy days, those halcyon days, halcyon days, when the old bull bloke himself used to sit in his studio and do a little show, and people used to become, in their masses, ladies and gentlemen, in their masses, to come along and find out all about the old Vobie One-Eyed Canobray and his show. They will come, surely they will come. Anyway, it's lovely to see you. It is Friday. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. So pleased to be Friday. And the reason that I like Fridays is because I don't have to get up in the morning on a Saturday at 6 o'clock and go straight to my computer and upload the walk the following day. Which is what I do Monday to Friday every day when we do the walks on the Bald Explorer page. If you've never been to the Bald Explorer page, or indeed the Bald Explorer group, then you should do, because that's where it happens. And indeed on the Tube of Views. Yes, the Tube of Views. Yoo-hoo! Hello, dear. How are you? I'm all right, thank you. Marvellous. On the Tube of Views, we also bung up the show, which is rather useful, and it keeps everybody entertained. Thank you very much for the very kind comments that you keep sending in. That's very nice of you. Thank you. Very thrilled. It's very good of you. And those of you who support the show, the patrons, it's lovely. Thank you very much. Again, it's always nice to thank the patrons. It's very good. Now, today's show, I must tell you, is being fueled by this wonderful cup sent in by Elaine Brazier, actually. And it's got Marmite, hot Marmite. Do you like a hot beverage like hot Marmite? A bit different from tea and coffee. Are you somebody who has a different beverage from tea and coffee? Because if you are, I want to hear about it in today's show. What alternative to tea and coffee do you have? And by tea and coffee, I mean traditional black tea. So it may be that you have a green tea. What's your favourite green tea? You may have an infusion. What's your favourite infusion? You may have Bovril, Marmite, Ovaltine, hot chocolate, whatever those is. I want to hear what your favourite one is on the show today, which would be absolutely fantastic. Anyway, welcome aboard. It's lovely to see you. Richard Suggett has come. Boom, he says. Andy Ash, he says, am I the first? No, you're not the first by any means. The lovely Julia says, hola, hola. Terence Dacom and Ian Beddoes have arrived. David Kersey, Jennifer Stewart, Pam Earnshaw, Kevin Hall. Hello, Richard. Kevin Hall here. Lovely to see you. Thanks very much for coming in. Jennifer Stewart, Cynthia Julian, who I've spent most of the morning with. Mark Selwood, Steve Pilfold, evening, back after a 10.5-hour drive, all the way from Cumbria, I believe you've Cumbria'd down here, which is very good. James DeWill, Dave Baker, everybody's here, which is very nice. If I've missed your name, Gary Baines, I want that cup. You want that cup. Do you want the Marmite in it? That's the question. Delish. Andy Ash says, does beer count? Glenn Johnson says, wine! Of course. Let us know. Robert Crosser is there. Emily Champion. Red Bush, please. Red Bush. My dad used to drink Red Bush. Horrible stuff. Wine, perhaps, says Andy Ash. Well, maybe a bit of wine. James DeWill says Earl Grey all the way. Earl Grey all the way, which is nice. Bit of bergamot, isn't it? Which is nice. Nice brown sugary tea for me, says Mark Selwood. Brown sugary tea. Cocoa. Andrew Graham, which is very nice. Rather drink cat pee than Marmite, says Robert Crosser. I don't like cat pee. Never tried it. Have to say, never tried putting cat pee into the kettle, boiling it up and serving it to myself or indeed my family. Never done that. Adrian Lidgett, watcher. Oh, watcher Adrian, how are you? How is TLC today out on the farm? Very interested to have a farm update. You must send in some pictures and we can put them in the show. Find out how she's going. Maya says, I don't drink tea or coffee or alcohol for that matter. I don't drink water. I don't drink milk. I don't drink anything. In fact, I've just keeled over and... No, wait a minute. She doesn't say that. She says, so when the nights turn chilly, it's either hot chocolate or hot black currant. Oh, very nice. Is that a branded black currant or one of those, is that a... Excuse me, is that a cordial that you heat up, or is it black currants themselves that you boil up over like some sort of jam, some kind of strange potion that you create? Maya, I'd be very interested to know. Mark Selwood is going, Nicky, question mark, question mark, question mark, Nicky, question mark, question mark, question mark. James DeWill says, hot Marmite, yum, a man after my own heart. Hot Marmite is good. Whereas Ed Keeley is going, Marmite, yuck. You see, it is one of those. Whereas Richard Suggett says, I don't know what that means. I'm allowed to drink tomorrow. Oh, right, okay. What sort of drink? Alcoholic drink. Icky Marmite, says the lovely Julia. Oh. Whereas Emily Champion says, love Marmite and Bovril. I love them both. I love them both. Robert Crosser, beg your pardon. You can't borrow my name. Life affirming, Richard. Cat P LOL. Is it life affirming? I must try some. If one can get hold of a cat and squeeze it over the kettle or a pan will do. Probably when I'm washing my socks. Do you wash your socks in a saucepan? A lot of people do. Wash them in their saucepan. It's the old-fashioned way. Get the socks and your smalls and bung them in a saucepan, big old saucepan, with a cat. Bung a bit of cat's pee in there just for extra strength. And it has a certain aroma. I wouldn't say it was actually pulling the birds. It might pull the bees, wasps, and maybe the ticks, but certainly not members of the opposite sex. So perhaps don't do that. It's probably not a good idea. Jennifer Stewart over in the USA says, never heard of Marmite. Now, Stan, hang on, I want to fall off my chair in amazement, but I'm not going to do that because it's quite a hard floor. Never heard of Marmite, Jennifer? Never heard of Marmite? What country do you... Oh, I just said United States of America. How bizarre. Whereas Maggie Walters, hello Maggie, nice to see you, she loves Marmite. Whereas Sue Blount only likes it on toast, which is the same. Linda Kane is suggesting Vegemite, which I believe is an Australian drink. Andy Ash says that bagels work too. Yes, hot bagels mixed with water is a very nice drink. So I think Marmite on a hot bagel, probably good. Anyway, I'm fueling that because I've had rather a few teas and coffees today and I'm a bit sick of them. Mr. Hall, Kevin Hall, Mr. Vobes, he says, question for you. He says, hello, Richard. Kevin here. Hello, Kevin. Did you see that I put the Vobes show on the Bald Explorer group? If so, slap wrist for you. Did I see you had put the... Yes, I'm starting to put the Vobes show back onto the Bald Explorer just so that those people in the Bald Explorer group, the new members, actually get to know what the Vobes show is. I think if only one person shares it, it's probably okay. I tend to share it at the end of the show when I've managed to either write some blurb about it or at least put a caption on, because when it's going live, I don't know whether it makes any sense to anybody. Maya says branded blackcurrant. Oh, Ribena, of course, she says. It's first choice, but a supermarket one will do. Fair dues, which is nice. Jennifer Stewart says, I've heard of Vegemite, termites, but not Marmite. Well, Marmite not let you have any, you see, so you have to be good. Otherwise, Marmite not. Andy Degley says, Marmite and lettuce sandwiches are superb. We've started a thing here. The Marmite or Not Club has started up on a Friday night. Well, there you are. Marmite night or Marmite not night. Who knows? Night is not on the option. Marmite is like Vegemite, says Linda Kane. Yeast extract is, when you get Supermarket's own version of Marmite, and they call it yeast extract. I think Sainsbury's do it, don't they? That's like Vegemite, if you ask me. Marmite and cucumber sarn is pretty good, Linda Kane advocates. Whereas Neil Gardner says it's nice... A nice OXO drink. Yes, get a cube. How many cubes do you bung in the OXO? 1 or 2? Very good. Macintosh Pam is saying to Andy that she likes the idea of the bagels. And Andy Ash says, I'm in the Marmite Club. Good, let's get rid of the Marmite Club now. I think we've managed to do that to death. So thank you very much for that. It's very kind of you. Now we know the sort of things that you like to do, which is grand. It is Friday. That means the weekend is coming. And what have you got in store for you? I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm going out with the Mr. Suggett and all his mates. Yes, he's got about 500 mates who are going down to West Dean, near Chichester, just north of Chichester, actually. And we're going to the Chili Fiesta. Yes, going to the Chili Fiesta, which I'm hoping that the weather is going to hold out, because didn't we have some rain? Didn't we? We did. We did. Yes, we did. We had some rain, all right. I know we had some rain. The lovely Cynthia, Julian and I were out cavorting, ladies and gentlemen, in the forest. Yeah, with Richard Verrill. We were cavorting in the forest, looking at Hazel. She's a nice girl, isn't she? When she gets her clothes on. We looked at Ash. He's a nice bloke when he's not smoking cigarettes behind the bushes. And, of course, we looked at Oak, who's a solid bloke and doesn't move around much. We were looking at a coppiced wood, and it was fantastic. We had a lovely time with Richard Verrill. He's got this beautiful cottage wood. No, it's not. We didn't go cottaging. No, that's something different. We didn't do any of that, you know, because you need a nice thatch to go cottaging, apparently, but none of that matters. We went to woods near Dial Post, which is an interesting place because I don't know why it's called Dial Post. Have you ever tried to dial up a post? It's not on the phone, is it? In the old days when you had the old dialing tone and you used to dial, you know, with the numbers and it go... I don't know if you could dial a post. But anyway, this lovely little village, which doesn't have a lot there these days, called Dial Post on the opposite side of the A24, just north of Worthing by about, I don't know, 8 miles or so. There is a wood, there is a woodland. Can't tell you specifically where it is because he doesn't like people to go trespassing through, trying to knock down the deer fence, because that's not a good idea. Anyway, we went cavorting, the lovely Cynthia and I, in there, and then we went for a cup of tea, which was just a good idea, because it suddenly, the heavens opened up, as if to say, never cavort again, Vobes, we don't like it. And he punished me, punished by trapping us in this lovely little coffee shop amidst all these this jungle of expensive and exotic plants. We couldn't get out because the rain was pouring down so much. It was something to behold. So there we go. Mark Selwood says, good to see Nikki watching the show. Yes, can you see her actually watching the show, which is great. Dave Baker says, I'm going to the Chili Fiesta tomorrow afternoon. Oh, Dave, well, I shall be gone by then. You know me, I turn up, take my camera in, do a little bit of that and swan off quick. You know, can't stand the paparazzi, that's what it is. Emily Champion says, not the last post. No, don't dial up the last post, for Gord's sake. Not in the countryside. They might think you're hunters, and then you'll get the hunt saboteurs out to beat you up. So there we be careful you don't get your hunting horn, you know, wrapped around your throat. Robert Crosser says, hope not. Ooh, misses. Richard Suggett says, Dave, if you see Richard and I, come up and say hello. Well, actually, if you do see us, then do. But although I'd probably be whizzing away at lunchtime. Excuse me whilst I stop my flappy mouth for one moment and have a sip of hot Marmite. There we are. I'm very scared, you know. Scared of that dead air. I don't know if the BBC still do this, but there is a thing, Steve Pilfold will know, there is this thing in radio, in the world of radio, that, you know, if you pause for a certain length of time, perhaps Steve will be able to tell us exactly how many seconds it is. If you pause on radio for a certain amount of time, automated software kick in. They assume you've died, you see. If you have dead air where you're not saying anything, they assume you've died, and a new program will start, something will kick in. You know, probably with the BBC, they'll assume that actually the whole place has gone up in nuclear explosion. And you'll probably get a man going on about, now is the time to get under the table and put your head inside a paper bag. There is a nuclear explosion about to happen, and we're all going to die, but it will mitigate the effect. At least you'll have your hairdo intact, which is quite useful when you're dead in a nuclear explosion. I don't know, but if you have a bit of this, normally in the radio land doesn't like that silence. It assumes you've snuffed it and something starts up. I don't know, maybe making that up. But of course this isn't radio, this is video, so one can go. It's quite quiet now, isn't it? It's quite quiet when I shut my mouth. Yes. Anyway, Steve Pulford says, I put the last post on my Vobing report and I got it cut off due to the atmospheric long fade to black. Yes, I'm so sorry about that. I'm never going to let that down. Hey-ho. It's usually about 90 seconds. So if there's 90 seconds, can you imagine that's a minute and a half of actually nothing happened, and then suddenly, you know, they assume you're dead and goodness knows what. Joe Smith has arrived. Hello to you, Joe. Hello, Joe. Earth to Joe. Hope you're all right there. Robert Crosser says, a bit of a drive from Cumbria, but have fun with the chilies at Dial Post. Yeah, well, I didn't come back from Cumbria. This was Steve Pilfold. I've been here all the time. I was only up the road at Dial Post. Anyway, James DeWill says, do not adjust your set. It's the Vobes normalising. Yes, for a few moments one needs to normalise. When you have a 2-minute silence, they put on some slight noise to avoid it happening. It's not from a memorial site. Oh, okay. Richard Suggett says, which is why broadcasters rustle papers during the minute silence. And here is the minute silence, 2-minute silence, whilst we respect the dead. No, it's not thunderstorms. Actually, whenever they do these 2-minute silences, you know, and you see the Queen walks up to the cenotaph with a bunch of flowers. You've got some bloke going, and there's the Queen walking now up to the cenotaph with a bunch of flowers. And you think, yeah, I can see it. You don't need to tell me. We're supposed to be respecting. And now the Queen has returned from the cenotaph without the bunch of flowers. Yes, yes, I can see that. I'm not blind. That's why I'm watching the television. If I wanted a commentary, I would have put the radio on. And now the Queen is standing next to Prince Philip, po-faced, while she also remains in silence, whereas me, the commentator, for fear that they think that I have snuffed it, or indeed am immaterial to this programme, have not actually shut my mouth. Because if I was silent, people would appreciate the silence a lot more than when I'm actually talking, and I would be given my P45. Which is probably true. Andy Danglash has written a whole load of stuff here. He says, proper August weather. The main road by Preston Park station was flooded for pedestrians, so had to take a detour via Station Road, just so you know. An old dirt track. Found out my waterproof walking boots aren't so waterproof after all. Yes, I've bought waterproof walking boots, only to discover that they're not as waterproof as you like. You try taking them back and see what they say. Robert Crosser says, never had time to listen before. This is pure genius. Something has just fallen down. Something has fallen down somewhere in here. I've just heard a clatter, but never mind. Don't let that worry you. Hey-ho, but there we are. Andy Ash says, is this show scripted? Is the show scripted? Oh, yes, of course. Here it is. Do you know I spend from 6 o'clock... You know, I pretend that I actually go out and film videos. It's not actually me. It's my twin brother. My twin brother, he does that side of it. Whereas I'm sitting at home, clitter-clatter, 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 ding! With the old-fashioned typewriter, you know, ladies and gentlemen, the old-fashioned typewriter. And I type out the scripts, which is why it's in old-fashioned handwriting, on my bit of paper here in the studio. And yes, of course, it's all every nuance in this show has been rehearsed to the nth degree. Absolutely everything. Because I'm a control freak. I would hate to go live and think that anything could happen to chance. In fact, this show isn't even live. No, this show is not live. This is on the principle of probability. What's the probability of you writing, for example, Linda Klein, that one of your adverts, no doubt, you know, what's the probability that you would write that? You have written that, and I pre-recorded it because I knew you would most likely, such as Maya has most likely said, this is my new Friday night entertainment. Of course it is. What else would you be tuning in on a Friday night? It could be... Or you could get... Two programs which I have absolutely no idea what's about, and I'm pretty sure that that's probably more... Hello, what was that running around? Oh, it's my son. Do you know, I thought it was a giant rat coming through the studio then. Rumour has it that rats, R-A-T-S, rats, yes, that desert sinking ships have made their way outside the Vobes house, and Billy has actually seen a rat recently. He caught sight of this great big thing. It was the size of a lion, and it was roaring with its mane on fire, its tongue hanging out, great big fangs sticking there, and its three tails flipping around. Wish, wish, not wish, swish, swish, like that. And I said, oh yeah, we used to have these lion rats lying around here a long time before, and they still do it. They still do it, lying around, causing chaos and mayhem and mischief and things. Dreadful. So I think they're getting into the house, into the old house, through where the dryer. We have one of those not washer dryer, but a dryer for your washing. You know what I mean? And oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, and it goes through the thing and through the wall, and I think they're climbing in there, going, oh, it's nice and warm in here, isn't it? Not too warm. Till of course, you know, we haven't been putting the dryer on in the summer because obviously the sun has been out, so they've been going in there thinking it's lovely. Now that we think we've got rats in there, I'm shoving it on the dryer 24/7. They're all coming out looking like they've got 1970s perms. Yeah, it's quite funny, really. But anyway, never mind. Richard Suggett says, I thought there was changing channel there for a moment. Oh, I beg your pardon. Steve Pulford says, if you send me the check, I'll stop putting the pre-agreed comments on out at the right time. Yes, if I stop sending you the check, I won't actually have a programme, so I have to keep sending you that £1 million, monthly £1 million. Ian Beddoe says, how come you know all the theme tunes if you don't have a telly? Yes, that's true. It's like... Now, can you remember, name that tune? Name that tune. Can you remember that tune? What was that from? There's... £5 of mouldy potatoes waiting in my fridge, waiting to be chucked in the bin. But I'll send them to you, gentle viewer, if you can name that tune. I'll have to think of another tune now that we could. I used to be very good at television themes. Bum bum bum, ba 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 bum bum, ba 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 ba. What's that tune? Can you name that one? So that's another one. What about bum bum badum badum bum 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 badum badum ram bum badum badum bum 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 badum badum ram ba da 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 dee ram bum badum badum bum 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 badum badum baram bum. Can you name that one? Emily Champion says, this is cheering me up. Had a horrible afternoon, got totally soaked on the way to the... I thought you said podcaster-trist then, but it's the podiatrist, where they proceeded to use a pair of pliers to pull out half my toenail from the root, then shove a painful chemical on it for 3 minutes. All with no pain relief. Blimey. What are you, one of the Mormons? So, yeah, no pain relief. Oh, it's Jehovah's Witnesses that don't like all that stuff, isn't it? Then I was sent back out into the rain. Ended up eating 2 bars of chocolate to calm myself down. Have been in my pyjamas since. Poor old Emily Champion. Bum-ba-dum, bum-bum-ba-bum. What was that from? Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. That's another tune. Hang on, we got Z Cars. Yes, very good. Black Beauty's coming in. Oh, well done. You're ever so good. Black Beauty, well done. That's very good. Z Car's already got potatoes, thanks. Oh, right. Already got the potatoes. Oh, fair enough. You don't want one of those. Name that tune. Tomorrow's World. Oh, Tomorrow's World. What's that one? I've just sung that one, haven't I? Oh yeah, done that. Yes, done that one. I don't know what I was talking about. That was Animal Magic. Champion the Wonder Horse. Yes, there we are. Champion the Wonder Horse. Well done, Ian Beddoes. The Antique Roadshow, Howard's Way. Can't remember how they used to go. I used to know them from a certain time period. Mainly because I used to watch a lot of telly. Ask the Family. Oh, yes. How does Ask the Family? Do you remember Ask the Family? Wasn't that with Robert Robinson? He used to do Call My Bluff as well. Well done, Mr. Jones. To Mr. T. Well, Mr. T, how are you doing, Mr. T? Well, Mr... Oh, how did the A-Team? They had a Mr. T, didn't they? Dun 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 dun. It all started with that. Anyway, whatever it did. Brother Tom is brother Tom O'Connor? Oh, the brothers. Do you remember the brothers? How did that go? I can't remember. I'll try and think of some more. I'll try and think of what was that one? Da da dum da da dum da da dum 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 da dum 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 da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum da da dum dee 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 da da dee da da dee da da dum 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 da. That was a children's one. A lot of children's one. Emily says, Maya, the last time it happened, I was under general anaesthetic. Nice bloke he was, big moustache, funny hat. We were totally shocked when it was happening. What, I don't know. Why did you? I wouldn't even go there if I was you. Not if they treat you like that. Do you remember a recently resurrected The Crystal Maze? Oh, yes. Wasn't that with Richard, what's-his-face, from the Rocky Doodah thing? The A-Team! There we are. Name that tune, hosted by Tom O'Connor. Yes, I used to know. I used to know so many of these old. What about Nationwide? Nationwide. How did Do you remember Nationwide? That's going back a bit on the old BBC, isn't it? Nationwide. I used to know that with Michael Barrett, wasn't it? When Michael Barrett was on there. I can hear it. It's coming. It's coming. Nationwide. Juliet Bravo. How did Juliet Bravo go? Do you remember that? Ted Rogers, 321. Yes, that's it, with the old MacGuffin. The MacGuffin, what was that? Anyway, never mind all this. This is causing chaos and mayhem. So let's get back to the script that's been earnestly written and worked on for ages. I think it's about this time we ought to actually go and have a look in the yes, I remember writing that sentence where I said it's about this time we should go and have a look at the make a joke about can't remember your words. Oh yes, can't remember my words. Ha ha! There's a joke about it. In the group, let's have a look, see what you've been up to, because I know you've been up to all sorts of mischief as ever. So here we go. Vision On. Do you remember how Vision On used to go? It used to go a bit like this. Yeah, it's all mad. So here's our first picture on the group, on the Bald Explorer group. Just so you know, Glenn Johnson's been posting pictures of Pevensey Castle. Pevensey Castle, of course, is a castle that was first erected, I think, by the Romans and then later by the Normans, if I've got that fact right. Okay, so that was that. Thanks very much, Glenn. Very nice. By the way, interesting post there by Glenn trying to find out exactly what everybody does. I think he works for the tax office because he wants to find out who's not claiming their taxes, because he's got loads of people explaining exactly what work they do, which is fascinating. But anyway, enough of that. Meanwhile, this is the lovely Julia. This is a tree that the lovely Julia and Matthew Holdsworth, the lovely Matthew Holdsworth, one should say, and of course the lovely Richard Vobes, he was there apparently, along with some children. And this is a picture of a walnut tree on its side. It seems to have fallen down. This was the tree we were talking about the other day. It fell down on its side, and then, as Julia says, these are the phoenix limbs that rise up from this walnut tree and reach for the sky. That's a different movie, isn't it? Reach for the Sky. I think Reach for the Sky. Who was in that? Was that Kenneth Moore, if I remember rightly? They will have lived beyond the ultimate demise of the fallen trunk as they reach their own roots for the ground, is what she says, which explains why the tree, even though it's on the ground, you've got those vertical stems coming up, which is absolutely marvellous. And we couldn't work out whether a walnut was a fig or a fig was a walnut. But don't let that worry you. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Richard Suggett has been posting a Find Me Friday, because Richard Suggett always gets lost on a Friday. And here's his photo, which was named in record time by Matthew Holdsworth as Ursman Cassel. Ursman, yes, Ursman, which I think is a French word. Now, this is Simon Brown. In fact, it's Sharon's first batch of Bullus Damson Hybrid Gin. Apparently, you can stick these in your car instead of petrol, and it will generate enough electricity to drive you around in 3 months. That's what I've got here. That may not be 100% true. And finally, Tom Crawford has got his mouth in the River Ada in Shoreham by West Sussex. Not by West Sussex, in West Sussex. And there you can see that is not this evening's night sky because we've had a lot of rain. And I think the river would be a bit fuller. But anyway, that's a little bit of that. So thank you very much for posting all those wonderful pictures as you have in the group, which is great. So there we are. Lewis Savage. Hello, Louis. Lewis? Is it Louise? Louise! I'm so sorry, Louise. I nearly called you Lewis and Louis and all that, but it's actually Louise. Louise Savage says, I've had a picnic on that tree. What did you have? Walnut sandwiches. Very nice this time of year. Walnut paste. Lovely. Yes. Walnut ice cream. Walnut whip. Who knows? But you probably had them on that tree just by the stepping stone, or very close to the stepping stones. Maggie Walter says, what an amazing walnut tree. Yeah, it is an amazing tree. It looks like Treant's arm. Treant's? What's a treant? Maya says, it looks like it's had one too many. Yes, it probably did have a little bit, and its arms are now protesting in the wind. I'm just going to see how my Marmite is doing. We'll just have a moment of quiet whilst I sip my Marmite. Very nice. Very nice. I don't know if you can hear that, but in the background I can hear the police sirens. They're all trying to find me. They often circle around the house when the show is on, but we're only on for an hour and it's not long enough for them to get their detector vans out to find out exactly where I am. Vision on, says Andy Dalglish. He says that they got the kids to send the paintings in but kept the lot, never returned them. I often make that joke, actually, myself, when we get to the gallery and I say, I'm ever so sorry, but we cannot return your pictures because actually what we're doing is using them for wallpaper because we're not paid enough by the BBC, and so we are wallpapering the office many times. And on the 5th of December, they're very useful for setting up the firework party. That was Pat Kiesel, something like that. Vision on. Back in the old day. Lord of the Rings, Treebeard, the Trenant. The Trenant, is it? Treant? I don't know. Emily Champion is talking about pirate radio. Ah, yes. I used to listen to pirate radio, but I got to all this sort of... As Long John Silver was trying to get to the microphone, often it would slip over, and it was a lot of rustling in the old tea chest, where it was going, "Ah, me hearties," and other bad jokes are available, but I couldn't think of any quick enough. So that's that. Glenn Johnson says, so you can't sign. Oh yes, I can give you a sign with a couple of fingers, but it would be rude. Louis Savage says, I love a pound shop. Well, you know, that's nice. If you've got a pound, you can buy a lovely shop. Not much of one, probably not even a brick these days. James DeWill says the 5th of November, surely. Didn't I say the 5th of November? What did I say? The 5th of September? Who knows? Anyway, so let's... what is the time, by the way? I've spent 30 minutes talking absolute rubbish in tonight's show, keeping you amused, I hope you realise, which is rather good. So I'm going to move on now to my book recommendation of the month. I don't often do this. Perhaps once a month would be a good idea. But today's book recommendation of the month is this one. Now, let's move on to something else. And I'm going to talk about some new signs that we've got. We've got these signs I showed you the other day. And here is one I have now stuck and made rigid. Yeah, a little bit of a rubbing down and it became rigid. Because I had to rub the glue, you see. It's actually on an old bit of... look, it says Vobes radio show on there. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, it's got the Bald Explorer on one side and the baldexplorer.com, and these are going to sit on Bessie. Good old Bessie. And it's on a bit of PVC, you see. I got it from the Kinky Printers, which is very nice. So that's that one. And the other one over there is another one. And that's nearly fallen over. Can't have that. They will look very nice. They're going to be pinned onto Bessie. But on this one over here... Oh. Not that one. Oh, no. Not that one. Must be... Hang on a minute. I'm just getting out of. I had jeans on today, so I was able to stand up. This one has on the front side, it's got live on Facebook. Yes, live on Facebook. Or, as it could also mean, as a lot of people seem to do, live on Facebook. A lot of people seem to live on Facebook. I'm not quite sure why. But on the reverse side, it's got a picture of me, looking ever so sexy, I have to say, in a formative time when I started off the old Vobes show without my glasses. That's what I look like if I take my glasses off. If I take my glasses off now, I don't look the same for some reason. I look remarkably different. And you may notice that oh, careful, nearly poked my eye out. I had two eyes in those days. I hadn't got the prosthetic limb in, and a nice leather jacket. Oh, I used to like those days. Funny thing is, I stuck that on upside down, so we'll have to turn Bessie round the other way. Look at that. That's me with my mouth open. Anyway, let's chuck that over there. No, we won't. We'll chuck it over there. No, you'll have to chuck it over there. Not going to chuck it anyway. Anyway, so that was that. I picked up your banner today, says Joe Smith. What does it look like? What does the banner look like? Be very interested to know what the banner looks like. How long is it? How long is the banner? Dave Baker says jingle. Is it Christmas? Ian Beddoe says, have you... He's not... Oh, he's reporting to somebody else. The leather jacket. Oh, yes. Use the mic. Use the mic? What do you mean, use the mic? What does that mean? Hello? Testing, testing. I'm using the mic. I don't know what you mean, Glenn. What do you mean, use the mic? That's what I love, Richard. Keep it up. Richard's sign language certainly helped. The Book of the Month, Jungle Beef. Oh, Jungle. Oh, Jingle Jungle. Oh, yes, sorry. Book recommendation. Yes. Now it's time for our book recommendation. There we go. That was... oh, sorry. I'll show you the back of it. Now, I recommend this book mainly because what's very clever about this particular book, I think, is that all the pages are on the inside and you have the covers on the outside. It's quite useful to have those covers going around, keeping all those pages in. And the other thing is, I noticed they've glued down here what I'm going to call the spine, because it's a bit like somebody's back, although not as flexible, and so that the pages don't fall out. So that's why I recommend a book. I think you can read them as well. I think they're quite useful like that. Let's just scroll down here. 3 meters. I don't know what 3 meters is. What's that in English language? 10 foot? About 10 foot, 3 foot, 3 foot, 9 foot, something like that. 9.5 foot. I don't do meters. I only go foot and inches. I'm sorry. Use the mic. I don't know what you mean. Better. Better. These words, these few words. 3 meters for the front of your gazebo. Yes, thank you, Joe. I worked it out now. It's about 9 and a bit feet, isn't it? Something like that. Glenn Johnson is better. I'm pleased that you're better. Emily Champion says, or you could find a monk to sew it together. No idea. No idea. Andy Ash finally has answered. A monk? Yeah, I know, Andy. I'm with you. No idea. She's talking gobbledygook. I think she's had one too many. Her feet, probably the medicine that she's had for her feet has affected her brain. A monk. Get a monk to sew it together. Mark Selwood, let's get back to this. This book idea is great. It will catch on in the, well, now he's not so sure. It's not an electric book. You see, the great thing about this book is that you can put this in the bath, and if you drop it in the bath, the pages get a bit soggy, but if you're quick and pull it out fast, you don't electrocute yourself, and it will still work. You could dry it out and it still work. But some of these electrical books, not so good. Glenn Johnson says, he's talking while facing the wall and the volume dropped. Ah, yes, of course. That was intentional. That's stage directions. You see, the idea of these stage directions is that the further you go from the microphone, the less you can hear me, you horrible little man. You horrible, foul creature, you lovely, lovely being. You see, you can't hear me if I come over here and insult you, you horrible, horrible little man, and say what a lovely chap you are. You can't tell the difference, you see, allegedly. Maya says, best comedy. Best comedy, yes, is best to... What's best comedy? Laughing. When my toilet exploded the other day, one of our books got soaked. Not so good. Wait. There's a conversation here. When your toilet exploded the other day. Now, Emily, you're worrying me. First, you went to some paediatrician, pedant, whatever it was, and they've pulled your toenails off and you've had to wince back through puddles and water, and now you're telling me that your toilet exploded. You're an accident waiting to... Well, the accident's happened. I pity your husband, is what I'm saying. Bad curry, Emily, says Andy Ash. Yes, probably that. A little bit of blowback, not so good. Emily says, I lead a very exciting life. Yes, we can see that, which is why when she appears on the show... She gets the cream in the face and not I. Monks and exploding toilets. What is she on? We'd all wonder, Robert. Well, she was on the toilet, clearly, and that's where she put her foot and whatever. We don't know why her foot. We don't actually know what was wrong with her foot other than she went... If she hadn't gone to the place... You know, a lot of people go to dentists, don't they? And then they say, I went to dentist, I got a whole load of fillings. Well, the idea there clearly is don't go to the dentist, you won't get the fillings. You know, it's like going to the doctor and having your leg chopped off. Just the best answer is just to eat the apples and you'll be all right. Emily went to a foot doctor. Yes, we worked that out. I wondered too. Too much curry. David Henry Allum. Hello. Henry David Allum. Hello there. Thank you for joining me. It's lovely to see you. How are you? Thank you for joining me. It's nice to see you. A toilet at my university exploded when somebody flushed a firecracker. Do you know, I thought you were going to say a fire extinguisher. Just for a moment, I thought, get a fire extinguisher down the toilet. That's got to be hilarious. Hilarious! But no, firecracker. And it exploded. Well, that's very interesting. And very unlikely, because I would have thought it would have gone out, but who knows? It wasn't a very good toilet then. Emily says, Maya and Louise will testify. Strange things always happen to you. Well, you appeared on the Vobes show, so that was pretty strange. David Hello says, hello, I'm very well, thank you. It's lovely to see you. I often do an impression of you, David. Henry, I keep calling you David. Your name's not... Well, it is David. It's part of the thing. But I keep... Because every time you start, it's your catchphrase. It's a lovely catchphrase. I love it. I switch it on. You go, hello, thank you for joining me. And then you tell us where you are. Whereas lovely Kevin Hall says, hello, Richard. Hello, Richard. Kevin here. Which is... I haven't quite managed to get Mark Selwood's vocal tones yet. His... in the videos that he does, I haven't quite... I'd like someone to do an impression of me. Hello, I'm Richard Vobes. I'm out on another... It's easy for me to do myself, of course, but I want someone to do a version of me. I'd love to know what people there interpret. You know, because it's the best form of flattery, isn't it? If you do an impression of somebody, it's the best form of flattery. Firecrackers, says Henry, doesn't always go out underwater. Ah, yes, I'm sure that's true. I'm pleased you like my... Wait for it to scroll. Catchphrase. Oh, I love it. I think it's great. And I think people should have a catchphrase when they start because it's that warm welcome, isn't it? I'm not somebody who likes opening title sequences. I don't think you need any of that these days. You know, television programmes needed that because people still had the kettle on. And you're in the kitchen and you'd hear the theme tune, which we were singing earlier, those theme tunes, wouldn't you? And you'd be, who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Hitler? When you think that England's done, Dad's Army, and you come racing into the room. You needed those signature tunes. That's what they used to call them, didn't they? Which was great, but you don't so much need those now on YouTube. You know, flashy graphics and all that. You don't need it. You don't just go straight into it. Hello, thank you for joining me. It's all you need. Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer. That's absolutely all you need. Hello, Richard. Kevin Hall here, which is great. Love it. I love it. Andy Ash says, close but not right. I'm not quite sure what he's talking about. Roy Walker, do you remember him? No. Emily Champion says, I'm a whiz at the catchphrase game. Okay, so good game. All right, my love. Rest of the old floorboard, Anthea, and 3 4 points, and 3 and 2, 9 points. Did they do well? That was good old Brucey, wasn't it? I like the old catchphrases. Give us some catchphrases of the past. No, don't give me recent catchphrases. I don't watch television anymore. Mark Selwood says, just jam your head up your backside, Richard, and then you'll sound like me. Oh, Mark Selwood. I am not putting my head up my backside, I tell you. It is a restricted entrance, thank you. It's usually only one way out of my backside, unless I inadvertently sit on something I wasn't planning to. And then I have a very high-pitched voice. Maya says, love that programme. Emily, what programme was that? Oh, catchphrase. Oh, the catchphrase with whatever his name is. Yes, catchphrase was hilarious. See what you see. I'll have a pee, please, Bob. That wasn't it. Richard Suggett says, let's have a look at what you could have won. Let's have a look at what you could have won. Did tease mate? Didn't you do? Well, yes, all that. You don't get anything like a pair, not in this game. Yeah, whose catchphrase was that? Can you hear me, mother? Oh, yes. Can you hear me, mother? When I was making Snug and Cozy all those years ago, back in 1996 and 1997, we had a chap called Martin Day who was directing the show, and he would go off into this, can you hear me, mother? Can you hear me? And I still had no idea who he was doing, but I knew he was doing somebody, but I had no idea. Roy Bloody Walker. It wasn't doing Roy Bloody Walker. All right, my love, good game. All right, my love, give us a twirl. Didn't she do well? Good old Brucey had, what a points make? He had a wig, didn't he? I worked with Brucey, ladies and gentlemen, many years ago when I used to do stand-in work at the BBC. I used to do a bit of stand-in work on the Generation game, not the original Generation game back in the 70s, but when it came back, I did a bit of stand-in work at the BBC. Did I just mention that? I did. I stood in for contestants. We had to stand in, and they would bring out the games, and we would play the games. We were just employed to come in and, have a go, and we would play the games and pretend that we were contestants. And we would do so like the Potter's Wheel, the famous Potter's Wheel thing, and all those things. So we would get to play those games before, on the day of the recording. The guests would come at about 6 o'clock, or I think the show started recording about 6 o'clock in the evening, but the guests would come about 4-ish. And in the morning time, they would have the set, and it would set up. It was mainly for the cameras, you see, so they knew how they were going to cut from one camera to the next camera. And we would run it twice. We would go through it once for the cameras and sound and various technical things. And then it would be ran again, and Brucey would come in, and he would sit in the audience. And the floor manager would be up on the stage where the action was taking place, and pretend to be Brucey. And he would be asking the questions. The questions were all pre-written down. And so he would be saying, who are you? And what? And of course, we had to be the contestants. So we didn't really say anything, because the floor manager would say, oh, this is Margaret and Harold Macmillan from 32 Acacia Avenue, in case you're listening. And then it would say, and then they'd had some jokes that had been written based on what those people do. And Brucey would be up in the audience, in the auditorium. It would only be him in the audience, the rest of the crew are on stage. And it would be interesting, because we would be standing there. We wouldn't be saying anything, because we were just really sort of mannequins, really, at that point, being the interview bit in a Generation game. And the floor manager would read out the jokes, and then every now and again Brucey would go, I don't like that joke. It doesn't really work. No. And he would get up and he would come onto the stage and he'd say, well, what is this? Their name's Smith, Mr. Smith. And he would strut up and down for a bit. Everyone would wait. And then he would go, no, I think we could do better than that. We could do better than that. And he would come up with some comedy line, quip line, which he would write down on his card, and then it would move on. And then in the show, when they had the real guests there, he would make it look like it was just, off the top of his cuff. And that's how a lot of these so-called improvised shows are. It's all pre-rehearsed. And he would go, Mrs. Smith, and out he would say whatever it was, because it was all very meticulously rehearsed. It was good game. All right, my love, did they do well? I mean, he was the absolute master. He was such a nice chap as well. I remember we would do games and then he would be calling it, no, it's too complicated. It's too complicated. You can't have that because it's too complicated. It sounds a bit like Norman Wisdom doing it. No, Mr. Grimsdale, you can't. No, Mr. Grimsdale, no, it's too complicated. You can't do that. Fire. They're breaking all our bottles. Sorry, I seem to have lapsed into a cross between Bruce Forsyth and Norman Wisdom. Anyway, Mark Selwood says, I love it when gems come out of the Vobes' mouth like these. Yes. No, Ken Dodd. Is lovely, all right. A true husband, darling. Yes. Glenn Johnson says, I love this insight to know how programmes are made. Some happens at gigs, but the ticket buyers don't see any of it. No, it was great. You know, the doors that would open. You'd have these two burly blokes, the chippies or whatever they were, the prop people, behind there and opening this stuff. I mean, so much of television, honestly, so much of television is just. You think what you're seeing is incredible and well rehearsed. I mean, the time the doors wouldn't open, it'd be stuck. And these blokes have got these little sort of handles and they're trying to open the doors and it would stuck. And they would go, wait, okay, hold it, we'll go back. And they'd go back and then someone would come out with a little oily thing or whatever, and a chip would bang on or something. And then, okay, so we'll just pick up from the doors and... television. If you watch television, ladies and gentlemen, and you believe that what you're seeing is real, you are in cloud cuckoo land. I've worked in television, and it just as an extra, and as a stand-in, and various bits and pieces, mini acting things. It's everything. Everything is manipulation, ladies and gentlemen. You think you're watching something that's you get more truth on a YouTube channel. With people like Henry David Allen and myself and Mark English and others like that, you get more truth coming out of the screen than you ever get on the television. You really do. Even the news. Gosh, the amount of times that when my agent would ring me up and they say, "Oh, we need a crowd scene for the news outside a hospital because we're waiting for the princess to have a baby. We need a bunch of people coming out looking worried." And you turn... No, I'm making that bit up. We never falsified the news. But, no, so much of television is so badly manipulated. That's why I don't trust any of it. I don't trust any of it. I don't trust it. You watch it and it's just not true. It's not... They can manipulate... These reality... I was having a conversation with the lovely Julia only the other day, and we were talking about somebody. I won't mention the conversation, but she was saying, "Oh, I base a lot of it on this reality TV program." But you must have seen the edits of people who've been in the jungle. You know that I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of the Jungle, and they say, "Oh, blimey, they didn't half edit me to be a horrible person." And what goes on, that's it. You see, you're in these programs, these reality programs, and already the producers are putting in character traits and go, right, he's going to be a bit like that, and they're going to be... And they pull out. So all the nice conversations that one person may have had, they cut all that lot out, and you just get the snarky things because they're building up a because they know... They know what gets those bums on seats. It's all entertainment. None of it's real. It's all made up. Maya says, I'm making my way through a big bag of chipsticks. Well, yeah, because you're bored with me now. Sue Blunt says, with this faulty microphone... What faulty microphone? Is my microphone not working? Is that what you're saying? Is it not working? Hello? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Just eaten a tube of Smarties. Oh, bizarre. Had some conversation. I don't know what you're talking about now. Norman the chicken. What are you on about? My dad was a picture editor for a news program, says Maya. Oh, well, there we are. When did the car window... When did he do the car window? What are you talking? Orange ones are the... If I go off on one, you'll start talking amongst yourselves. I start to refuse to listen to any of this. And the contestants went through the ceiling downstairs. Now I've lost it, you see. Unfortunately, this makes it very awkward for me because I'll read out your comments and your comments now don't make any sense. They don't make any. They're not related to what I'm talking about. So this is where we kind of need. This is where Facebook lets me down. It lets me down because I'll be talking about something and so like he had a broken microphone. I said, who? No, Norman Collins. Oh, Mike is fine, but I keep getting frozen. Picture. You need to put your jumper on. So what's the time? Oh, well, it's time to finish anyway. So there we go. I had lots of other interesting things. I wanted to talk about litter picking. I wanted to talk about the sign. Well, I talked about the signs on Bessie. I wanted to talk about our ABC plan. I wanted to talk about the chili fiesta. Oh, and my book recommendation for you, which is that one, which we talked about. And Matthew's T-shirt has arrived. We was hoping that Matthew Holdsworth was going to hold up his T-shirt, but unfortunately he hasn't had a chance. He was putting the children to bed, so we didn't have much chance to do that. Maggie says, naughty, naughty, talking amongst yourselves. Yes, so the talking amongst yourselves is a big issue with me, I'm afraid, because I can't pick out the conversation. If you're talking to other people, there used to be a thing here. Sometimes it comes up where it says in reply to, and I know you're talking. But if you just type it out, Maya says, stop it. You're making my tummy hurt from laughing. I've lost the thread now. I'm too busy listening to Richard. I'm still waiting for my T-shirt. Yes, I'm still waiting. I'm too sexy for my T-shirt. And finally, Paul Couchman has joined. Hello, Paul Couchman. You've joined at the very end of the show. It's very nice of you to join us as we're about to go. But just before we go, I'd like to recommend this book. If you are interested in it, it's called Oak and Ash and Thorn by Peter Fiennes, 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 The Ancient Woods of New Forests of Britain. It's an absolute brilliant read. I haven't quite finished it, as you can see. It's a very easy read. It's poetic. It's quite poetic. It's beautifully written. And it is a lament, really, about what we are doing to our forests and our trees and how important our trees and forests are to us. But it's a beautifully written book and it makes you think. And I think that's one of the purposes of books. And it's very good. So, and it's not terribly expensive. It's called Oak and Ash and Thorn by Peter Fiennes, The Ancient Woods and New Forests of Britain, and why we should look after them and protect them. He puts it in so much more eloquent language than I possibly could, and it'll be making you want to go and buy your own bit of woodland, which you should do if you've got the money, and protect this wonderful nation. Heritage Open Days, says Paul Couchman. Heritage, he says, I know there was a HODS opening. An HOD, a HODS, a Heritage Open Day. I don't know what the S stands for. Did you manage to order more T-shirts for your Tractor Fest? I have written it down on a bit of paper to do that. But it will be. I shall be asking the gentleman, Neil, his name is, to get a second set. But thanks for reminding me, James, which is very kind of you. Glenn, the quickest hour ever. Yes, it does go ever so quick when I get on one. Steve Pilfold says you need to use the Pilfold Tech 2000 comment queue thing. Yes, I need somebody on the other end, Steve, to be there assisting and sending those messages through. Maybe next week we can pick a day. Monday, Wednesday. Wait a minute, what's happening Monday? I've got busy week next week, but certainly Wednesday, Monday. I can't remember. Something's happening Monday. But yeah, we'll pick a day. Pick a day when you're free, and we'll test it out. Kevin Hall says, "Hello, Richard. Kevin here. Everyone, give yourselves a slap wrist for chatting." Yes, slap your wrists. You mustn't do it because otherwise, because you see this is how it works, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking to the camera. I'm looking at you there, and I'm thinking on the top of my head of something reasonably intelligent and maybe a little bit humorous. I'm trying to think of something like that. And then for a split second, I think, oh, the lovely people, all those lovely people at home watching, they've tuned in. And I come down here, I flick my one eye, I've only got the one, I flick my single eye down here, and I pick the first thing I see. And if you're talking amongst yourselves and you're answering each other and you've got that's why I come out with some very odd sentences, because I'll go down there and I'll see. Emily Champion says, I'm saving for a camper van, so I'll camp out in the woods and build you some nice wood gadgets, you see. So that's why I read them randomly. Brilliant show, Richard, says Andy Diglish. Thank you very much indeed. My pleasure, mate. My pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Can I come and decorate it? Emily, says Maya. That sounds good. And Louise Savage says, can I borrow it? I want to borrow. I love to get a camper van. Steve Pilfer says, I'm at work on Monday, maybe Wednesday. Let's try the 2000, whatever it was, whatever you call. Andy Ash says, I shall now bend over Richard. Yes, well, we'll try and see what we can send up that little passage of yours. Sue Blount says, I shouldn't have said that. Sue Blount says, it's your fault, Kevin, asking if anyone remembered Norman Collier. Norman St. John Stevens. Yes, porridge. How did that go? Anyway, we had a lovely time. Thank you so much for coming along. I think we've enjoyed it. I've got to now go and have a lie down, take my tablet and go into a darkened room and prepare myself for the lovely Richard Suggett. Who, again, he's somebody else I can't mimic at the moment. I've got to work on these, but we've got the lovely Henry Allen. Hello there. Thank you for joining me. I don't know how you... I'm trying to remember how you sign off. It's the openings are nice and easy. Anyway, there we go. We've had fun. Thank you so much. Take care. Till the next time. Oh, wait a minute. We normally sign off in a special way here. We've got all the hearts and the laughing going. Did we do that? We did that. Forgot to show you this. That's for Cynthia Julian, if she's watching. That's a cow with long horns. I believe it's a Highland, I think that one is. The lovely Richard Verrill, who... Verrill? Yeah, I think it's Verrill. Venel. I'm losing it now. Went to see him, went in his woods, didn't see his moo cow, but the lovely Cynthia Julian says, here's a picture. Looks like you, Richard. Thanks, Cynthia, which is great. I showed you the behind the scenes. Was going to talk about this, which is rubbish, that the lovely Julia has inspired me, but I will talk about that on another occasion. The lovely Julia, I have to say, has been an inspiration to me in terms of looking after the countryside. I talk about the countryside and all the rest of it, but one thing I haven't been doing is picking up the rubbish we've been seeing, and I've been shamed. She has shamed me. I was thinking when we went out with Matthew and she suddenly just automatically picked up the stuff without making a thing of it. And I thought, you know what? We should all be doing that. We really should. And I felt absolutely guilty that I don't do it when I go in the country. It's often because I've got a microphone and a thing in my hand. But I'm going to make a concerted effort to pick up the muck that other people leave behind. So really shouldn't leave all this absolute shite behind. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, well, not that note. I've got a different note for this to leave you with. And that note goes a bit like this. Oh, I'm having trouble with this, aren't I? I'm having trouble with this. I don't know why. I've never had trouble with it before. When you hear that music, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it means. You can talk amongst yourselves to your heart's content. Because the Vobes Show has ended for another week. But we'll be back on Monday. Take care, one and all. Have a lovely weekend. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute joy. Until the next time, ta-ta, arrivederci, bye for now. Goodbye!